Well, hey, Chris here from Finland Mennonite Church. Happy Wednesday, and thanks for joining us for another session of Midweek Musings, this time where we take a break to reflect on one truth from the previous week's sermon. And this past week, Brandon had us looking into the rejoicing that happens in heaven. We saw it in Revelation, and we also saw how Jesus talks about it in Luke 15. And he gives us sort of peel back understanding that when a sinner, when one who doesn't know Jesus comes to surrender, comes to submit, comes to follow Jesus as Lord, that there's this mad celebration and rejoicing happening in heaven. He shares these three parables. And Brandon alluded to these things, and he only had to read the last sentence of each of them to demonstrate this kind of rejoicing that happens. But you know what? As I reflected more on this, it had me thinking. It had me musing. Especially the last parable, the one with the father who has two sons. The younger son says, "Give me my money." He runs away. He squanders it. He comes back. The father is overjoyed that his son has come back to him, even though he's lost all of his inheritance, even though he's squandered everything, even though he's lived a life of complete debauchery and utter sinfulness, right? Things totally against the way his father would have raised him up. But his son comes back and his father receives him. In fact, he throws a party. The older brother, he doesn't come into the party. He's not interested in celebrating these things. And I wonder, are we sometimes like that older brother? And that older brother, as I thought more about it, as I mused over these things, reminded me of this wonderful story. See, this isn't something that's new. It's something that humanity has struggled with for years and years. So much so that we make children's books about it, the Sneetches. And so I'm going to read a little bit of this as we ponder and as we muse about this truth that we're going to come to. Let's learn about these Sneetches a little bit. So here we go. Now the star-belly Sneetches had bellies with stars. The plain-belly Sneetches had none upon theirs. Those stars weren't so big. They were really so small, you might think such a thing wouldn't matter at all. But because they had stars, all the star-belly Sneetches would brag. "We're the best kind of Sneetch on the beaches." With their snoots in the air, they would sniff, then they'd snort. "We'll have nothing to do with the plain-belly sort." And whenever they met some, when they were out walking, they'd hike right on past them without even talking. When the star-belly children went out to play ball, could a plain belly get in the game? Not at all. You could only play if your bellies had stars, and the plain belly children had none upon theirs. When the star-belly Sneetches had Frankfurter roasts, or picnics, or parties, or marshmallow toasts, they never invited the plain belly Sneetches. They left them out cold in the dark of the beaches. They kept them away, never let them come near, and that's how they treated them year after year. Then one day, it seems, while the plain-belly Sneetches were moping and doping along on the beaches, just sitting there wishing their bellies had stars, a stranger zipped up in the strangest of cars. "My friends," he announced in a voice clear and keen, "my name is Sylvester McMonkey McBean, and I've heard of your troubles. I've heard you're unhappy, but I can fix that. I'm the fix-it-up chappie. I've come here to help you. I have what you need, and my prices are low. And I work at great speed, and my work is 100% guaranteed." Then quickly Sylvester McBean put together a very peculiar machine, and he said, "You want stars like the star-belly Sneetch? My friend, you can have them for $3 each. Just pay me your money and hop right aboard." So they clambered inside. Then the big machine roared, and it knocked, and it bonked, and it jerked, and it burked, and it bopped them about. But the thing really worked. When the plain-belly Sneetches popped out, they had stars. They actually did. They had stars upon theirs. Now let's just take a break from that for a moment. Do you think the star-bellied Sneetches are going to receive them with joy and say, "Ha, now you can hang out with us"? Let's see. Then they yelled at the ones who had stars at the start. "We're exactly like you. You can't tell us apart. We're all just the same now, you snooty old smarties. And now we can go to your Frankfurter parties." "Good grief," groaned the ones who had stars at the first. we're still the best Sneetches and they are the worst. But now, how in the world will we know, they all frowned, if which kind is what or the other way round? So the story continues. And there's this big battle that brews as they all go in and out of the machine, changing the way that they look and appear. In other words, they act a whole lot like that older brother, failing to rejoice when one who was lost has now been found. When, as the father said, when one who is dead is now back alive. So here's the truth. Heaven rejoices, right? Heaven, the place that all followers of Jesus are citizens of, yet that place rejoices each and every time that a sinner, one who is estranged from God, is brought back into a relationship with him through Jesus Christ. That's what it rejoices over. And what Brandon said is, are we making environments where this is happening? Are we celebrating these things? Or are we acting like snooty Sneetches who get upset when those who didn't belong now do, when those who didn't have their robes washed now do? See, the thing that the Sneetches come to is that they realize, if you read the end of it, they actually come to a wonderful place. They realize, hey, all along we were all Sneetches. Just like hopefully we can come to a place where we realize, hey, all of us, no matter what our skin color, no matter what our nationality, no matter what language we speak, no matter what political party we affiliate with, we're all human. We're all made in the image of God, all in desperate need of having our robes washed in the blood of the slain Lamb, Jesus Christ. Can we celebrate in these things? Can we celebrate even when somebody who doesn't believe like us comes to enjoy the presence of God, comes to worship this God? Well, I hope so. And hope we can make the places we live, work, and play these places where these things can happen more and more. More and more people coming to follow Jesus. More and more people experiencing these pieces of heaven so that they long and yearn for Jesus Christ like never before. I pray that as each of us finishes out this week, we can rejoice in these truths, in these beautiful realities, that though we were lost, in Christ we can be found. And may we also rejoice when those around us who were lost or are lost are also being found. Have a blessed week.